What's up, guys? We are in Clinton, Mississippi with Tyrone Haggard. Tyrone, tell us what we got here.
So we have a fully renovated 4-bedroom, 2-bath home in one of the most sought after communities in Clinton, Mississippi. And we just want to give you an opportunity to see how the transformation turned out.
Perfect. Can you give me an idea of what it looked like before?
Oh my God, just look next door. You'll see what it looked like.
Okay, I mean, that doesn't look terrible, right? It's got a metal roof. It's got some older looking siding.
It was terrible. It was old, outdated, rotten wood. It didn't have a garage door. It was just a carport. So we pretty much basically touched every inch of this home just to make it as close to new construction as we possibly could.
Okay. Well, you've painted the exterior. It looks like you've put a roof on it.
Yes.
You've done some nice landscaping out here.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on the exterior? Did anything pop up out here in the exterior that maybe you weren't prepared for?
No, we were prepared for everything. We knew that it was a carport. I always like to add garage doors. It didn't have any perimeter lighting. I always like to add floodlights on the exterior.
Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
You said it was a carport?
Yes.
So hold on. How? Like, what do you mean? It was underneath a roof. Why didn't it?
It was just open.
Well, oh, why?
Because in this area, a lot of homes just have a place for you to pull under, and it's wide open.
I guess like that one over there?
No, that's a garage.
That's a garage.
Most of these were converted. They were carports that were converted.
Oh, got you. Okay, interesting. Yeah. And a lot of them are metal roofs. Did this one have a metal roof?
This one did not have a metal roof on it. I think they got these metal roofs during the last hailstorm.
Oh, and it looks like you put a fence up too.
Yeah, I had to put an entire new fence up.
Were you prepared to do that?
I was not prepared to do that, and I'll show you why. The fence was the only surprise in this project, and I'll show you why.
Okay.
Come on back here with me.
All right. Do I need to close this?
No, you don't have to close it. So I wouldn't have had to put this fence up, but the house that neighbors me is a rental, and the owner of the house is a slumlord.
How so?
You'll see when you just take a peek over here what their fence looks like.
Can I peek over?
Yeah, you can.
I can't see, so I don't even know what you're seeing, guys. I'm just peeking the camera up over. What would I see when I...
Let's see. To get it this way and come this way.
Come this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you what you would see. You would see a fence that he was not even willing to go half on for me to help him fix his fence.
Wow.
So this is not my fence. This is his fence. And
this fence right here that you built.
I had to build a fence to cover up his raggedy fence.
Okay.
So this is what's on the other side of that.
Well, I'm not arguing with you here, but is that a slumlord because he has a bad fence?
You should see the house.
Okay. All right. We actually have a video. I'll link that video up right above us. We actually talked about being a slumlord. When you go into some of these houses, some of them are actually really nice, and then the tenant's been there for 5, 7, 8, 10 years, and they've been completely torn up. I'm not defending this guy. I don't know who this guy is whatsoever.
Yeah.
So some of the slumlord stuff I'm a little skeptical of.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't exist.
It exists.
It definitely exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you buy a house that's already terrible and you don't do anything to it except for moving people into it,
it's a little tough.
That's slumlord.
That's tough right there. Okay, so we painted it.
Yep.
We was there any like overgrowth out here?
All of it was overgrown. Yeah.
Well, it's nice grass.
Yeah, we had to treat it, fertilize it, get it all, bring it back. You know, it wasn't like this. It was all grown up. You couldn't basically see hardly anything in the backyard.
Now with the fence though, I mean, I see a lot of people, and guys, if you haven't seen the first part of this video, make sure that you watch part 1 with me and Tyrone. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but But with putting up a fence when you didn't know that you were going to have to do it to begin with, most rehabbers are just going to kind of let that go.
Yes.
Because it has nothing really to do with the house. It is probably an eyesore, but it's just, hey, this is what you got. The house is awesome. So I'm not going to worry about this, what, $2,000 expense, $1,500 expense, whatever.
A little bit more than that, but their fence looked so terrible.
You just felt like you couldn't get around it.
I don't think that a buyer would have came and said, dang, this house is so amazing. Why didn't he just take the extra step to do that? I mean, I'd already spent what I was going to spend to make it awesome. And when I found out that the landlord was not going to be willing to share the cost for me to help him fix his fence, I didn't even have to ask. I could have just turned him into the city.
All right, well, let's get out of this
let's
August
go inside.
Mississippi heat.
Yeah, it's so hot out here. But
I didn't mean to rabbit hole there.
No, I like rabbit holes.
Okay, so we've got this beautiful house. It looks got some great curb appeal here. Yard looks great. Did you give any consideration? This tree's not in the way at all. It's not hanging over the house at all. Nothing wrong with this tree whatsoever. Did you give it any consideration to take it down?
Yes, I did. I gave it a lot of consideration to take it down, but we decided to just trim it up to make sure that none of the limbs were hanging over the house or near the home, just to kind of keep the neighborhood natural looking and to provide the front of the house with a little bit of shade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And which is what we're standing under, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Let's take a look at the inside.
Come on in.
All right. All right. What can you tell me about the inside of the house?
Yeah, so we've touched every part of this house. We've opened it up to give it somewhat of a great room feel. Changed out all the light fixtures. We added some can lights. Tried to make the fireplace pop a little bit. But yeah, this was closed off.
This right here was closed off?
Yeah, this was closed off, and you would walk into a formal dining room right off of the kitchen. So we just opened it up so that you can have the dining room right off of the kitchen, have the living room, and kind of give it that open concept feel in a 1978 house.
Yeah. And then the kitchen's kind of like in this little nook over here.
Yeah, galley style kitchen. This is where it was. Moving the kitchen anywhere else, it just wasn't going to be financially feasible or needed for a home in this price range. So we just kept the galley kitchen and just updated it. Butcher block, cabinets, stainless steel appliances, and just made it new.
Yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. What, and then you got what, laundry back here?
Yes. The laundry room is in the back.
Perfect. And I guess there's really, because on the other side of this wall right here is the garage.
That is correct.
So there's really nothing you could have even have done, right?
No, it wouldn't have made sense to try to do anything additional to a kitchen like that in a $250,000 house when it's already darn near new construction anyway.
Gotcha. Tell me about this light fixture too. It looks like this is a little above and beyond.
Yeah, typically in my transformations, I will go a little bit higher in on my lighting package, just because a lot of the light fixtures that buyers in this price range, they're on Facebook, they're on Zillow, they're going into new construction homes, and they're seeing lights like this, never expecting to find the same fixture in a house that they can actually afford. So sometimes I do like this one here. I usually put these lights in all of my new constructions, but here I've started putting them in some of the more affordable homes, just so that buyers can experience luxury and affordability simultaneously.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, and then we got some bedrooms and baths back here. How many bed and bath is it?
Yeah, so we've got 4 bedrooms and 2 fully updated bathrooms back here. Let's go check it out.
Oh, perfect. And then you chose, we're LVP throughout, except in the bathrooms.
Yes.
Where this is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Just the decision to go with LVP.
Yeah, the decision.
That's seems to be pretty universal, no matter where I go.
Sometimes I'll do carpet in bedrooms, but I just think that LVP is easier on the buyer. If they do want the fabric, they can get a big rug or something. But it's just, easier to clean, less problems. I'll use typically LVP and a tile combination.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then, talk about the decision. This is really, for a hall bath, this seems to be a pretty nice hall bath. A lot nicer than what maybe I'm used to looking at.
Yeah, typically I'm known for making inexpensive houses really nice just because that's what I'm intentionally trying to do, is to make luxury and affordability come together. A person that typically would have a hall bath like this would be in a $350,000 to $400,000 house. But I'm working diligently to continue to put things like that in houses that are a little bit more affordable, like this one.
How are you able to do that though, Tyrone? Because I mean, it's not like the price of things are less just because your price point at the end is less. Are you taking less profit?
You really want me to tell you my secrets? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I mean, is there a secret?
Yeah, there is a secret, and it is my massive volume. I get wholesale labor rates from all of my subcontractors, and I get very good discounts on tile. And if I have 5 houses that I know that I got coming up, I can buy high-end materials in bulk at a good price, and I can put them in my high-end homes and my mid-grade homes as well.
Wow.
So it's all about volume.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So that's 2 bedrooms and a hall bath.
Yep. And the third bedroom there, guest bedroom.
Okay. All right.
There. And then this is the ensuite.
Here's we don't call it a master anymore. I guess
I call it a master, but everybody's so sensitive nowadays about everything, so I have to be careful. It is a master bathroom.
Okay. So you've got a tub surround in here, but you got tile in the hall bath. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
I just wanted the guest bathroom to appeal to the guests, and I did the same design in here. I just used a surround on this wall instead of the tile all the way to the top.
Gotcha.
Because typically nobody's going to be back here except for the owners.
Correct. And we got a walk-in closet.
Yeah, walk-in closet.
It's very nice. So Tyrone, you were talking about the numbers kind of a little bit as we go, but kind of take us through all the numbers. Like, what did you get it for? What did you put into it? And what's it listed for?
Yeah, I bought this house for $102,000. We put about 65 in it.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, and it was listed for $250 and is under contract. Basically, I got an offer in my inbox right now that I got to accept.
Okay, for full price.
Full price. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so after fees. And after, expenses, you're going to clear somewhere around 75, it sounds like.
Between 60 and 65.
Okay, gotcha.
I give my realtors a bonus.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's a win-win situation.
Now, is 60 to 65, is that a normal flip for you?
It's not. Typically in our area, it's usually between 30 and 35. This one was just one of those really good off-market deals that I got that happened to be really good.
For 102,000, it's for sure really good.
Yeah.
How did you get the deal? How'd you find it?
The deal found me. Okay. I didn't find it. It was a situation whereas a fellow investor, or wholesaler actually, a wholesaler that we do ton of deals together. Said, I may have one in your city. I don't know why they think Clinton is my city, but
You only live in Clinton.
I only live in Clinton. And so came over, looked at it. No other investors had ever seen it, didn't know about it. And it's like, how much would you give for it? And I was like, I'd give this. And the seller accepted.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else you can tell me about this house? There were no other surprises?
No surprises. The reason why I was so excited about this house in Clinton is because it did not have any foundation issues. It had no structural settlement.
And it's on a slab, right?
It's on a slab, yeah. Typically, most of the homes that I transform in the city of Clinton have foundation issues.
Interesting.
And
even slabs?
Even slabs.
Wow, you got to get into them.
Especially slabs.
Got to get into them to get the plumbing.
It's like open heart surgery, man, and it is expensive, and it adds about 45 days to your rehab timeline.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I was just excited about this one because it was a win-win situation. The seller was tired. I was looking for a great deal here in Clinton, and it all worked out.
Perfect.
Yep.
Tyrone, thank you so much for taking us through this house.
Thank you.
We're going to go on to the next one, guys, so stay tuned for our next video.
Yeah, let's go.